Girls, my name's Dan. Welcome back to another episode of Rough and Ready. In this episode, we're going to be looking at everything from Damascus steel to brand new stock. Okay, so one of the things that I've decided to do in my infinite wisdom is to start, try not to stab the 4140 behind your documents with the knife, Mr. Moss. One of the things I've decided to do in my infinite wisdom is to improve the quality of the steel that I'm using, but not only improve the quality of the steel, but make it easier for me to get hold of. I recycle forklift truck time normally, and I genuinely find it pretty easy to deal with. However, during this COVID outbreak, I've not only found it very difficult to get hold of new stock, but I've also found it very difficult to get it processed and get it out to people without having any help here. So, some of you may or may not have noticed that on the Etsy, my availability of stock went up and down quite oddly. I had a bit of stock and then there wasn't any there, then I relisted it and then I took it down again. And I just wasn't able to make enough stock for myself and for everyone to get hold of, and then there were some other issues with it as well. Like when I send out certain sizes of stock, they get sold in one billet, people pay a lot of money for shipping, and it gets lost down a conveyor belt somewhere. So for me, it's been a real headache dealing with stock. So this is 709M40T, which is a type of 4140T. It's a chrome ollie. It has about 0.9% chrome, and it has somewhere in the region of 0.38 to 0.45 carbon. So it's great steel for making hammers out of, and punches and drifts, and it's very similar to the sort of stuff that I was using in the forklift trucks, except from I don't have to do anything to it. I can basically chop it up and send it out to you. And because I'm buying it in such very large quantities, there is 4 meters of 50 round, which I think is about 10 foot of 2 inch. Now, this was just a tester. I can get loads of this, and I can get it at a price which I think is pretty good and quite affordable to ship out to guys and girls at home, so that they can make their own tooling with. But not only that, I was sent a little cheeky present here, a piece here. This is S7. We'll talk more about this in a little bit. So what's the relevance of having new stock? Well, it comes with a few benefits. The first big benefit is that if I run out, I can call up and I can have some here within 2 days, as long as it's not the weekend. So I have a plentiful, ready supply of steel waiting to be delivered here, and they are ready for capacity. So, for example, if this takes off and people really want lots of it, I have the ability to get more of it. So I also know exactly what this is, and it has an AISI number, which would allow us to compare this to other steels that other countries use. So predominantly in the United States of America, this is called 4140. It's not called EN19 or 709M40T. So we can get similar steels with similar quantities in other locations, and I can sell them from there. So I'm working alongside another YouTuber, his name's Hans, and I'm hoping that we are going to be able to work together to not only produce a bigger, better business that is able to get hold of steel and chop it up and sell it to you guys and girls at home for a lot cheaper than it would cost to buy full bar length sizes. But I can also reduce the shipping costs now, which means that I can send an item like this from the United States of America to someone else in the United States of America, therefore giving you the opportunity at home to get hold of stock a lot cheaper. One of the biggest issues I have been having since this COVID-19 outbreak is shipping. Okay, this next part we're going to be making some Damascus steel. I'm going to get comments about all sorts of things to do with this next bit. And the first thing is if you call it pattern welded steel, good for you. If you call it Damascus steel, good for you. I don't care. I don't make it that often, and I'm not making it for myself, which is normally the reason I'm making it. So yeah, don't get upset if I call it the wrong terminology or I change the terminology. I don't care. This particular material that I'm making, this multiple material welded pattern Damascus nonsense, is going to another YouTuber. We're doing a bit of a collaboration together. I'm going to make him some Damascus steel, and I hope he's going to be able to make an axe out of it. His name is Onur. His channel is called Dies in Every Film. I'll leave a link to some of his stuff or his channel or something in the description, so definitely go and check him out. He makes some really cool stuff. And yeah, it's not that I'm going to help him get any more traction, because he's already got like a bazillion followers or subscribers or whatever. Anyway, that's not the point. What we're going to do is we're going to take some 15N20 and some EN42J. I cannot remember the equivalent for EN42J. If I do remember or I find out, I'll write it somewhere. I'm going to chop it up, TIG weld it together, and then we're going to stick it in the gas forge. Here, currently, I don't think I've made any pattern welded material except from that chain knife that we made a very long time ago. I don't think I've made any pattern welded steel in a gas forge. So yeah, let's do that. So what I've got is this 15N20. I can get more of this if people are interested in steel like this as well. I can definitely get my hands on stuff like this if they're interested. Probably best if you're in the UK at the minute for steels. But I can get stuff. And the EN42J. This is 50mm by 900mm long. I'm going to chop it up into 100mm sections. This is also probably the biggest billet of Damascus steel I've ever made as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 100mm by 50mm sections. I'm then going to alternate them, TIG weld them together, and then I'm going to try and forge weld them together, and I'm hoping the gas forge is going to do that job nicely. Okay, things to remember when you put in your stacks together. Mark which one's which, because if you don't, you just end up having this situation where you got one material and then another one, they look exactly the same on the table and you don't know what you're doing. So I put a little squiggle on all of my 15N20. I got myself a little engineer's vice. Get yourself one of these little vices if you're going to do a lot of Damascus steel. It's really simple, it makes life a lot easier when it comes to doing the stacking. And also I recommend TIG welding. Two reasons for TIG welding. It's a little bit more controllable than MIG welding. Not everyone's into TIG welding. I've had this conversation before on the channel. People think it's sort of like out of their reach and it's hard to get access to things like TIG welding and stuff like that. But it's not. That's a load of nonsense, to be fair. TIG welding is a great arc welding medium, and it's really accessible. And some of the units can stick weld with them, and you can plasma cut, and you can do quite a lot with them for not very much money. But anyway, that's a different subject for another time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack this stuff up. Oh, and the other reason for TIG welding is when we're doing the actual welds on the billet, I don't have to add any new material. I don't need a filler rod. I can just blend the sheets together, and then that way you don't get any really horrible weldy blemishes in your material, which is what I think is really good. Right, I'm going to start stacking these. I'll bring you up for a bit closer for the stack. Okay, let's create our stack. Now I'm going to alternate the material. I might put some slightly thicker layers in where basically I'll have two pieces of the same material next to each other. But I'm basically just going to alternate the material layers in between each other and then MIG weld them, TIG weld them together at both ends. Now you get some people saying that you should do certain things like clean everything down. I don't think it makes any difference. Some people say you should use flux, some people say you shouldn't use flux, some people say you should dip it in kerosene, some people say you shouldn't, some people say you should put mild steel heat sinks on the end. There's all sorts of incredibly mad ideas and processes that make up the welding processes for Damascus or pattern welding or whatever you want to call it. And to be honest with you, just give it a go, see what works out. I'm not going to do any cleaning for this process. I'm just going to TIG it together and then stick it in the gas forge. So what we're going to do, I think, to start with, I'm going to go 1, 15 and 20. I'm gonna take 2, and then I'm gonna put another 15 and 20, and then 1, and then a 15 and 20. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. I'm gonna do 1, 15 and 20, and then 2, and then 1, 15 and 20, and then 1, and then a 15 and 20, and then I'm gonna pop these final 2 in the middle like so. That should give us something nice. I hope it. I'm going to twist this up as well. I want to get a contrast between some nice big thick layers and some slightly thinner layers. When I start getting this down into size, I'm hoping that's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this nice and tight in the vise. I'm going to try and take out any of the bowing. These tend to get shear cut, so they tend to bow up a little bit. Just going to grab a hammer, tidy everything up. I'm going to level off one end, make sure it's all nice and tidy, and then we're going to weld it together. So I've got myself a piece of forklift truck tine that I forged down into 16 round. Just going to place that on there and use this as a handle. I normally don't condone welding sticks onto things, because I just find that if you don't have tong discipline, that you're just shortchanging yourself really. However, in this situation, I think it's a good idea to weld something on. It's a bit easier to hold, and when you're doing those first couple of sets, setting the material and prepping everything, it's a little bit easier to have it something to hang on to basically, especially because we're going to be using the power hammer. So I've basically preheated the gas forge. I'm going to take the billet, I'm just going to lay it inside and leave it for 10 minutes just so that it can just soak up as much heat as it can, radiant heat at least anyway, and then I'll hit the gas on and we'll just slowly bring it up to temperature. It's very important that the entirety of the bar is at an even temperature, otherwise we'll have problems when we come to weld it later on. Okay, let's make some more food. I didn't get a chance to do it last week, so this week we're going to try something a bit different, and I hope it's going to work. If it does, joy for me, because this is probably one of my favourite meals, and everyone at home is going to be like, oh! So you're going to need to get yourself some sort of oniano. I've got some spring onions here, and I'm just going to chop some of them up. Oh, I'm going to have to pull them apart, aren't I? Probably should wash. I'm going to wash these. Okay, I think these are actually called scallions in the States, maybe, and they're not. Anyway, I call them spring onions here with this really blunt knife. Should have sorted this out. Just going to chop me up some onions. So I've got my scallions chopped up, my spring onions. I've got some sausage here. This is like a well, it's pepperami, but some sort of Italian sausage. I could have probably used lardons or whatever, or bits of chicken, any old bit of meat you can find just laying around. Just chop those up as well, and you can have as much or as little as you want. Okay, so what I've got myself is one of these packet rices, and I've just crushed it all up like it says to do in the instructions. And I'm just going to put the rice onto our hot plate kind of styly thing, which has got oil on it as well. I'm just going to pop that on there, get it all in. So I'm just going to grab an egg, crack that in there. Get my shell in. I made a little well in the rice, bang that egg in there. And as the egg starts to cook, I'm just going to grab my fork and I'm going to just scramble all that up, all that goodness up. And mix it into the rice. And then grab the rest of our ingredients. Now, it doesn't really matter if any of these are cooked, they're all clean and they can be eaten raw, or not even cooked really. They'll be eaten raw anyway. Just going to mix that in. Just as long as the rice is cooked and isn't gone off, you'll be fine with this one. Ah, I'm losing. Okay, I'm going to have mine with a bit of some sort of sweet chilli sauce. Not much, just a touch. Yeah, mix that all in. Could do with a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't have salt and pepper at the forge, but as we explore these cooking ideas a bit more in the future, I'm definitely going to get sorted out so we got a bit of a better selection. And I've talked to my buddy about the frying pan thing, and that's going to happen very shortly. I'm going to use a gas forge for probably the next couple of these cooking ones. But yeah, hopefully you're enjoying watching me do these. And I'm enjoying eating the stuff I'm cooking. It isn't too bad at all. And like I said, just make sure you cook your rice. You could boil your rice, pre-boil it at home, bring it in with you, and then eat that way. So yeah, cool. I'm gonna eat my lunch and I'll see you in a bit. I have no idea how much of this you aren't gonna be able to see. But what I've done is, and it's really hard to see the pattern as well when it's not been ground up very nicely. But basically, I've used a ferric chloride just to etch the surface, just to expose the pattern underneath. I don't know, you might not be able to see it. This might not be a very good, demo. But basically, I've decided to cut this spar up into 4 pieces. I wasn't going to do this. I was going to do it slightly differently, and then I'm going to weld these together like this, but with some extra plates in between, so that I get some really cool patterns, really random designs and patterns on there. But I wanted to find, because I don't know what's going to end up being the top, so it's either going to be one of these patterns is going to end up being the top, or one of these sections is going to be the top. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up squishing this down this way, so I'm not sure at all actually. But whatever happens, I'd like this end and this end to have really cool designs on, so that we can maximise the pattern. So there's a piece here that looks pretty cool, but the bit on the back of this one's pretty cool, so that's a nice one. And this one here has got quite a large flat spot, so where we twisted it, you'll have the side of the material which will just be a blank panel basically, and that's no good for nothing. So again, here there's no real need for this one, so this one can be one of the centre ones. And this one here, again, it's got quite a large flat section with a bit of a ripple between, so I think that's going to be a centre section. All 3 of them are very, very similar. Okay, cool. So I think what I'm going to do, anyway, one's going to go on the top, one's going to go on the bottom, and we'll go from there. That's definitely the top or bottom, and then I'm going to have to find probably that one actually. It's quite annoying when it's like that, because it's should have twisted it a bit more maybe. Anyway, yeah, those 2. Cool, lovely. Right, so, and then I'm going to stack 15 and 20. Which one? 15 and 20 and then I think I've got a bit of scale there that I might need to get out, and then a little bit of another piece of the section, and then a 42 EM42J, and then another piece there, and then 15 N20, just like that. Weld it all together, stick a bar back on the end, squish it all down. Now, I have already ground this up. All I did was took the scale off. That's the only thing I've done. I haven't bothered with the sides, there's no point yet, because I'm gonna end up welding this all together yet, and then having another, and doing another welding process with it. I don't know what you can and cannot see, but it's the day after, and obviously I ferric chlorided the billet to expose some of the pattern, which is awesome. But you can see these lines. Now that's the material I added afterwards, and because I didn't weld it in properly, not only that, but I didn't make sure that all the billets were the same size before I welded it in. I've got these rust lines now, and they are quite clearly not welded together. So if you look on the very end of the bar, you can see the same, well, I'm not going to call them inclusions yet, they're just not welded together. Now, we've got another process to do with this yet. We have to forge it into something, and during that process, I'm hoping these welds are going to close themselves up, because I'm going to punch the hole for the axe that we are making at welding temperature, and I'm also going to do a lot of the forging at welding temperature. So I'm hoping a lot of the problems that are in this current billet are not going to be there. But we will see. I might be making another billet. Okay, so I've just chopped my way through 2 lengths of that bar, and we've got just under 20 billets here. I've got 19, but I've got 2 offcuts. Say I've got 2 offcuts. I've got 1 offcut here at the minute, but I've got 2 offcuts. I'm going to knock them into some 40 square, which is a size that I commonly use. I am trying to find some rolled, hot rolled square bar as we speak to replace the one that we were selling. However, how likely I am going to be able to get hold of that in the UK, I do not know at this very point in time, but we are looking. So what I'm going to do is I've never forged this stuff before. I'm under the impression it is just like 4140. So what we're going to do is going to stick both of these billets in the gas forge, and then going to knock them down just to make sure that they're a bit bigger than they are now, and then we're going to knock them into some 40s. Okay, this video initially had a lot more in. It was over 30 minutes long. I've decided to edit quite a bit of it back. Rough and Ready will have more of that in. You'll have also seen some of this stuff. I've cut it all up now. I'm going to go over some of it just quickly just now. You'll have seen the Damascus steel being made. So that'll be everything for this episode, but next episode there'll be some more fly press stuff. There might be some massive maintenance, and there might also be some of the S7 stuff, but there will be S7 stuff coming up. And I'm just going to keep rolling like this. I'm just going to get as much footage together as I can and then just give it to you. I'm going to do this real quick as well. I'm not going to get cute about it and do any editing or whatever, but I just want to get this bit out of the way. I will talk more about why this is happening and the reasons for doing some of the things that I'm doing. But this is the new stock, not the Damascus steel. This is the new stock. There may be other stuff coming in the future. One of the things that is definitely going to be happening is this is the range of tongs that was available, minus the flat bits. I'm phasing this out for a different style. I'm getting rid of the big tongs, I'm getting rid of the small tongs. Everything will be made out of 20 round now. I'm just going to have a blanket set of tongs, range of tongs, flat bits, hollow bits, some bolt jaws. There'll be some bladesmithing tongs. These ones here. There'll be box jaws and the wolf jaws that I've been making. But you'll also be able to get the blanks. The blanks will come with a rivet, but you'll also be able to just buy 2 pieces of steel and a rivet. That'll all be available, and also things like this will be there'll be an America thing going on, but we'll talk about that as well in a minute. But there will also be the 2-inch round ready and to go. That'll be up on the Etsy. There'll be the 25mm round. That'll be up on the Etsy. There'll be a 35mm round. That'll be up on the Etsy. All of these things with custom shipping, because I now have an account with DPD, which means I can offer really, really good rates on the shipping. Then Hans is going to help out in the States. He's going to hold some of this stock as well. Depending on how we go, there'll be laser cuts. There'll be all sorts of cool stuff. So if I can get it in the States, get it to Hans, we can buy it in bulks in the States and ship it out from the States via Hans to try and help grow his business as well. I'll leave a link to his channel at the end somewhere as well, so you can go and check him out. But yeah, so any tong stuff you buy, you'll get rivets and all that cool stuff. So that's one thing that's definitely going to happen. There will be some bladesmithing, steels and stocks will be going up there at some point, I hope. The live on Saturday, I'll talk more about it. I'm also introducing some new hammers. I'm going to be introducing this. This is a 2.5 pound rounder, just like the 3.5 pound rounder. And I'll also be introducing, I know this isn't, but this is the 2.5 pound Scandi, but I'll also be introducing the 4 pound Scandi, and I'll be introducing some other weight hammers and just variety there. You'll still be able to get all the cool stuff, and there'll be some other bits and bobs hopefully in the pipeline as well, but we're going to do it in phases, so there'll be some laser cuts, like I say, and bits and bobs like that. Right, done. Hopefully that was short and concise compared to the last time I did that. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Some of these tools are going to Onur, as is this Damascus steel. I will be turning it into an axe very shortly. I'll be making some nice tools for that as well. I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description as well, and there'll probably be something at the end of this video as well, so definitely go and check out his channel. Go and check out Hans's channel as well. He's a great blacksmith. He's a bit of a hobbyist and he's a bit new still, but he is coming along very nicely. He's going to be a really good blacksmith. Like I said, this stuff will all be up on the Etsy very soon if it's not already up there. And yes, the shipping prices for the States might be wrong at the minute, so just bear with me. It's working, we're getting there, but this is coming together, this is working. Like I said before, Elliot's back, so things should start rolling a bit smoother now, hopefully. I don't know what that was, but things should start rolling a bit smoother, hopefully. More videos should be coming out. I should be able to get more work done. I'm really excited about all these new things that are going to happen. They're just taking forever because I want them to be right. I don't want to mess about too much, like changing the tongs, because there's 2 different pairs of tongs. Why offer a flat bit, small pair of tongs, and a flat bit, big pair of tongs? Why not just make a reasonable sized pair of tongs in the middle? Most people are going to buy them anyway, so that's what we're doing. And there will be some more cooking and some more great crazy stuff like that to come. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Rough and Ready. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber, please ring that bell for notifications, because it will tell you every time I make a video. And then if you want to help support the channel in any way, shape or form, go down into the description. There's a couple of links. There is an Instagram and an Etsy, and there'd be some, yeah, so go and check those things out as well. If you're interested in buying steel stock, merchandise, hammers, anything blacksmithing related basically will be there, or channel related will be there for you to get your hands on. We try and make everything, and if I can't make it, I'll try and get a genuine product that I genuinely believe in. That's why I'm asked Hans to help. Yeah, go follow on the Etsy. I kind of put bits and bobs up as I'm going along when I'm doing stuff in the workshop as well on the Etsy. Did I say Etsy? I meant the Instagram. I'm not doing this again. This is the 4th time I've done this outro, so I'm gonna just get on with it. I'm gonna leave it there. I will leave a video up here for something that YouTube thinks that you will enjoy. This video here is a video that was most recently uploaded, and the one here is one that I've chosen. It's probably the previous Rough and Ready. Thank you so much for joining me for some more chaos. I hope to see you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.